Welcome to Celebrating Act 2. Celebrating Act 2 is the user manual for the second half of your life.
Welcome to another episode of Celebrating Act 2. Today, John Coleman and I have a very special guest, and we want to talk about a very timely book that's coming out. But why don't you tell about our guest, John?
Well, Art, you and I have met Leonard Szymczak many years ago. And as it turns out, we all remembered each other, which at my age is kind of amazing.
John, by the way, it was long enough ago that I had a landline of his that didn't work. So I had to make sure to get his mobile phone.
That's ancient history.
Right.
Anyway, our guest's name is Leonard Szymczak. And get this, he has so much to talk about. We have said to him, no, we don't want to talk about this, that, the other thing. We just want to talk about your book. He's got a new book coming out, and it's called Tiny Tim's Christmas Carol. Now, get this. Last year, he came out with Bob Cratchit's Christmas Carol. So he's obviously onto something here with the Christmas-themed books. Let's meet Leonard Szymczak and talk about the book.
Hi,
and
Leonard.
look at him; he's in his Christmas red. Thank you.
Hey, great to be with you guys, Art and John. Such a treat.
Oh, thank
Our
you.
pleasure.
By the way, with the red shirt, who knew? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Now, Leonard, you are a psychotherapist. You're a lecturer. You're an author. But the most recent effort is Tiny Tim's Christmas Carol. If I may, let me go back to the first book of the series, which is Bob Cratchit's Christmas Carol. Tell us how that started, what you got, why you got that idea.
Well, I was a great fan. I am a great fan of Charles Dickens. And I looked at that story, and, Bob Cratchit never changed at the end. So, Scrooge had this character arc of going from a skinflint and greedy to generosity. But Bob, at the end of the book, didn't really change. And I thought, I wonder what would happen if the three spirits, visited Bob Cratchit. And that started the beginning of this idea. And I says, well, we have to go to the past, because what would create a man to work for 20 years in this horrific work environment with this horrible man? And so the spirit of Christmas past had to take him back into the past, where he saw that his alcoholic father sold him into a Blacking's warehouse to make shoe polish. Now, this actually happened to Charles Dickens. His father went to prison, and Dickens worked in a warehouse. So I took a little bit of Dickens' actual life and said, well, let's make it into Bob Cratchit. And so Bob Cratchit had to go back and see how his beliefs, he learned to believe that he wasn't worthy. He couldn't make anything of himself. He had to work for somebody else. And so the past showed him how his beliefs kept him entrenched in this life of misery, because he was miserable and depressed working for Scrooge. And then, of course, the spirit of Christmas present had to bring him to the realization that the power that he has is in the present. And the spirit of Christmas future says, well, the choices you make affect your future. And so he had to go on this character arc to really change and let go of his old beliefs that kept him entrenched with Scrooge. And that began his journey. And that's the Bob Cratchit's Christmas Carol is all about his incredible journey to really self-empowerment.
Wow, what a wonderful, wonderful tale for the Christmas season, but really all year round. And forgive me if I just say that it's a little obvious that it was written by a psychotherapist.
That's true. That's true. I think that we all, now this is for anyone who writes, we express ourselves to health. And, any of the characters I write reflect a little part of me. And so really any type of our writing is healing, because we're expressing ourselves through characters. And so I grew up in a family with adversity. I was a single mom, raised 4 kids. And so I love stories where characters have to overcome adversity. And that's kind of a theme in all my books because that inspires me to overcome any adversity in my life.
Hmm.
Yeah. You know, I am very impressed by your analysis as a writer of the original Christmas Carol, that Bob Cratchit's character never changed. Because as a writer, that's one of the things you want your characters to do. You want them to grow, change, you know. And Bob Cratchit wasn't the bad guy. Usually we want our bad guys to remain bad guys, right? But the good guys changed. Bob Cratchit didn't change. And this is a fascinating premise, a wonderful idea for a book. And I assume that, knowing you, it's a family book.
Yes, yes. Well, as a matter of
Uh,
fact, so individuals. I've had one woman who she read this to her family numerous times. So because it is a family book, Christmas time. I want to feel good, and that's what Christmas to me is about. Creating this Christmas spirit of really being in a place where I can spread this Christmas joy.
So,
yeah.
how many books are in the series so far?
Where there's two. So Bob Cratchit is the first, Tiny Tim's Christmas Carol is the second, and then the third, I'm not going to, no spoiler alert here, but I'm working on the third that'll be out next year.
Well, that's
That's
great.
great.
So, and where can people find these books?
Well, they can get on Amazon or on bobschristmas.com. So you can go to my website, bobschristmas.com, and they'll a book trailer, and they can get all the information, or just go to Amazon.
So tell us about Tiny Tim's Christmas Carol.
So, Tiny Tim is a very endearing character. We love Tiny Tim. He's got a crippled legs. He's got this infirmity, and he has a crutch. And Bob Cratchit carries Tim on his shoulders. And I was thinking, I wonder what kind of this is my psychological perspective. What kind of a character did Tiny Tim have? And I thought, here's a little boy who really he's got these infirmity in his legs, and he's got a brother who picks on him and bullies him all the time. And he, like Bob, he keeps his feelings to himself. He doesn't express himself, and he really hates his life, but he doesn't want to share it with him. So he creates this, pleasant demeanor to the world. But underneath, he's got a lot of demons going on that he's also got to go visit his spirit of Christmas past. And so with him, I created three spirits, but they're three kids. So of course, if the spirit world is going to visit a child, you have to have children as spirits. And so we have three endearing children who visit Tiny Tim and take him, of course, to his past, and also looking at his present and the choices he can make in his future. And he has to deal with, because he's got this horrible brother, Matthew, who picks on him and bullies him, and the other kids call him Crutchet, and he's got to really deal with his own inner world and get to a place where he can really be more empowered. It's moving from a disability to inability. Again, how to overcome adversity so he's able to really live a more healthier, loving life.
Well, I know you're an excellent writer, and I can see, as you describe these plots, a little bit of the Dickensian darkness in the stories. It's always a more uplifting story when the hero has greater adversity to overcome. So in some cases, and Dickens is a good example, it gets really dark. This is bad stuff. How can they ever get out of this? And
so
I can see that. I can see that in these books.
Yeah, so Tiny Tim he's suffering. So all of us suffer at some point or another. And so I wanted to take a look at suffering. What is it that creates suffering? And so for Tiny Tim, yes, he has his physical pain. He's bullied. He's got some psychological suffering. How can we overcome our suffering? Because again, that's more of a psychological theme. So all of us have suffered in our life at various different points. And how can we overcome the suffering so again we can bring more joy into our life? So again, that is kind of an undercurrent of the book.
Well, you know what, Leonard? I think these are bound to be classics. They're going to live forever.
And you know what?
Great.
Once you get the movie deal done, A Christmas Story better watch out.
Yeah. So I don't want to ruin the spoiler alert, but I think I know what the third book is going to be.
All right. Well, you tell me.
It's going to be Fezziwig.
You know, well, that's the character has to be in A Christmas Carol, obviously.
Sure.
And
Well,
so I chose, but I'm not going to tell you. So I made a list of all the characters in Christmas Carol and says, well, okay, who's going to be the third person? And it's going to be intriguing. I think people won't normally choose this particular character. It's got a bit of a twist in there.
Okay, well, great. Well, we'll have to have you back next year. Will you have it done for Christmas a year from now?
Yes.
Great. So we'll have that. And
well, meanwhile, we'll have you back to talk about all your other activities. You are, dare I say it, a person over 50.
Yes,
right.
I'm definitely over 50.
So you're enjoying your second act, as we are.
As
and
our
you've got a lot
audience,
to talk
and
about
some of
there.
our audience needs to learn how to loosen up a little bit and get the most out of the second act, because we're living longer, healthier lives. And you're in the business of helping people like us.
And I think I've come to learn, John and Art, that the second half can be an amazing life. Yes, you have to do cataract surgery, and yes, you have other surgeries, but we have the wisdom. We've garnered wisdom over the years that we can actually use that wisdom to our advantage and create an amazing life, because we're supposed to have an amazing life. If not now, when?
Right.
Well,
Well,
this has been
for Art
great.
and I, our wisdom comes from talking to folks like you.
Wow, well done, John. Really well
Oh,
done.
well said, John.
I thought you'd like that. Yeah.
That's brilliant, John. Just brilliant.
Okay, so by the way, so if some of you folks need to double check, go to the description below, and we'll tell you where you can go find the books and links, and a link to a very special trailer that our mutual friend Mark Sevi did with Leonard and about this book. And it's going to be a fun read. Go get it. And thank you for being with us, Leonard, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
And thank you too for having me. I really enjoyed this our interaction.
Our pleasure.
For more on Celebrating Act Two, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act Two is the user manual for the second half of your life.